And I consider him a personal coach, an example of what we all can be when we make up our minds of living from our greatness as opposed to our fears. How many of you have some major goals you'd like to achieve? Raise your hands, please. Very good. I like to ask that question. There's no saying that says, if you aim at nothing in life, you hit nothing dead on the head. I've been looking at my life and reflecting on my life because 10 years ago, I was diagnosed with prostate cancer. I stand before you because of God's grace and mercy and faith, and knowing that as we work together, as we believe in the possibilities of the fact that healing takes place first within, then without, the possibility is unlimited of what we can do. I'm going to do a national tour called You Are More Powerful Than Cancer. One of the things I think doctors should never tell anyone they're terminally ill. I think what they should say is that my knowledge and ability to help you has terminated. My PSA 10 years ago was 110. As I stand before you, it's 270. 1 to 4 men, you know that's normal. And PSA stands for prostate specific antigen, but to me, PSA stands for positively staying alive. I was reflecting on my life during the time when I received 238 radiation seed implants. And as I looked at my life, I asked myself a question. And I want to ask you a question. How many of you know if you had your life to live over again, you could have done more than what you've done thus far? Raise your hands, please. Now, that proves a point of what we do, what we accomplish, what we produce in life is only a tip of the iceberg of what's possible for us. I want you to think about some major goal that gives your life a sense of meaning right now. And as you're thinking about that, I want you to shake someone's hand on your right and your left and around you. Look them in the eyes and say with conviction, you have something special. Do that quickly now, please. Tell them you have something special. Yes. So now, I want you to join me right now. I want you to think about some major goal that you'd like to achieve. Something that gives your life a sense of meaning. Something that will give your life a sense of purpose and direction. My first major goal was to buy my mother a home. That was important to me. I'm adopted. I was born in a poor section of Miami, Florida called Liberty City, in an abandoned building on a floor with a twin brother. And when we were 6 weeks of age, we were adopted by Mrs. Mamie Brown. My mother was 46 years of age. She only had a third grade education, but she had a PhD in mother wit. I feel like Abraham Lincoln, who said, all that I am and all that ever hope to be, I owe to my mother. I saw a sign once that said, God took me out of my biological mother's womb and placed me in the heart of my adopted mother. So my goal and dream was to buy my mother a home, to take care of my mother. My mother was a domestic worker on Miami Beach, and she would go to work, and many days she would take us with her. And we ate the food left over from the families that my mother cooked for. They were very kind and generous people. They would say, Mamie, whatever food is left over after you cook, you can pack it up and take it home to the children, the food that's left over after we eat, and feed those 7 children that you have adopted. Because of their generosity, many nights we did not go to bed hungry because they were so kind and so giving. We wore the hand-me-down clothes of the children that Mama kept. If they were too small, Mama could sew, she would let them out. If they were too large, she would take them in. And my mother was a great baker. She could bake a cake. She could bake a sweet potato pie so good you couldn't eat it with your shoes on. You had to take your shoes off so you could wiggle your toes. And I used to say, looking at the beautiful mansions that she used to clean, I would say, Mama. She said, what is it, boy? When I become a man, I'm going to buy something like this for you. I'm going to buy you a home one day. She said, oh, Leslie, you don't have to do that. I said, I know, Mama, but I want to. I'm going to one day. And she didn't know, and she was curious, where was I getting those thoughts from? I used to work and take care of Mr. Sidursky. He was a very demanding man, very meticulous guy. He would say, Leslie, I said, yes, sir, come here. Yes, sir, you did not clean this ashtray. I'm sorry, sir, I do apologize. And I'd clean the ashtray. Look at this dust and look at this dust. I'm sorry, sir. Now, what Mr. Sidursky did not know was that I deliberately didn't clean certain things because I wanted him to call me into his office. Because when he was in his office, he would listen to motivational messages by a guy by the name of Earl Nightingale. It's a series called The Strangest Secret in the World. We become what we think about. All of us are self-made, but only the successful will admit it. And as I heard those words, they began to program my mind and began to affect my thinking, and it changed how I saw myself. And my vision of myself began to expand. Listening to Bob Proctor talking earlier about awareness and how important it is, he most certainly is right, because I had the awareness at that point in time, as a result of being exposed to those messages, that I could do more than I was now experiencing, even since I've been associated with working with Peak Potential. My level of awareness has expanded. Robert Riopel and Roxanne and Gail Kingsley, it began to expand all of the people that I've interacted with. Life is about expansion. Expansion. Robert Schuller said success is never ending. And I want you to think about some goal that will give your life a sense of meaning and value. And whatever it is, I don't want you to limit it. I want you to expand it. I've found that most people fail in life not because they aim too high and miss. No, most people have been like me. Most people aim in life too low, and they aim too low and hit. I did that for many years, and many don't aim at all. So I want you to think about goals in three areas. Some personal goal that you'd like to achieve, something that gives your life meaning right now, and some career goal, some financial goal that you'd like to achieve, and your social contribution. Horace Mann said we should be ashamed to die until we've made some major contribution to humankind. My mother was a 22-year breast cancer conqueror. So before I leave the planet, my goal is to reduce the number of women who die from breast cancer in honor of my mother. How many men are over 40? Raise your hands, please. As a 10-year prostate cancer conqueror, my goal is to decrease the number of men who die from prostate cancer, encouraging you to get your PSA test if you haven't done so, or your digital rectal examination. And I'll be glad when they can check our prostate by looking in our ears. It's got to be a better way. I'm turning red as I talk about it, but you can't see it. A friend of mine, he's a urologist now, used to play a lineman for Ohio State University. He said, Les, let me give you a free rectal. I said, no, buddy, you too motivated. Hope we don't roll like that. Huh? My goal before leaving the planet is to reduce the number of kids that are impacted by autism, to find a cure for autism, to work to raise money and to raise awareness, to eradicate it from the planet before I leave here. What's your goal? What's your dream? What is it you want to do with your life? Dr. Joelle Martin said something that I love. She said, what would the world be like if everybody lived their dream? Here's what I've found about life. It's not as complicated as I used to make it. I think that life is about dreams and stories. Everything that exists, the world at one time was barren, but everything that exists, hotels, planes, they weren't here. Everything that we see every day, computers, all of the things that we see, someone had a dream. Someone had a dream of a person standing on stage and their voice being amplified so they don't have to scream and yell and can be heard by thousands. Someone had that dream of how to transport us from one place to the other quickly and safely. The clothes you have on, where you're now seated, all came out of somebody's dream, the world's greatest achievement. What is your dream? I said that you have something special. I didn't say that just to be kind. I said it because it's true. You are God's chosen vessel. You were chosen, 1 out of 400 million sperm. You have something in you That when you were chosen, when you showed up, there's something in you that if you don't do it, all of us will suffer. Repeat out to me, please. Live full. Die empty. Let's say it again. Live full. Die empty. Dr. Howard Thurman, one of the mentors of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and Albert Schweitzer and Mahatma Gandhi, he was a very brilliant writer. He wrote some things that really grabbed me. He wrote, "Deep is the hunger, the voice of the genuine, the centering moment." During the time after receiving 238 radiation seed implants, I was reflecting on his words, and these words kept me up that night. He said, "The ideal situation for a man or woman to die is to have family members praying with them as they cross over." He said, "But imagine, if you will, being on your deathbed and standing around your bed, the ghost of the dreams, the ideas, the abilities, the talents given to you by life, and that you, for whatever reason, you never went after that dream. You never acted on those ideas. You never used those talents. You never used those gifts. And there they are standing around your bed looking at you with large angry eyes saying, 'We came to you, and only you could have given us life. And now we must die with you forever.'